boy. Here we go again. Yes, I'm actually sticking to this. It is another episode of Velvet Owl Watches Baywatch Nights, so you don't have to. And I kind of wish there was someone out there watching Baywatch Nights, so I didn't have to. Actually, there probably is. Because this isn't like some amazing idea, is it? Like, oh, Baywatch Nights. I should have gone for like some like even more obscure show. Which I had thought, do Homeboys from Outer Space. Why did I not stick with that? I don't know if I can find episodes of Homeboys from Outer Space. Maybe if I like torrent them, because I think if you use torrent, you probably can find anything and everything. But I'm beyond the point of wanting to give my computer sexually transmitted diseases, so I don't do illegal downloads anymore. So I'm sticking with stuff that's on YouTube, and so I'm sticking with Baywatch Nights. Why, I don't know. And I'm still unsure if Baywatch Nights is taking place concurrently with Baywatch. So is David Hasselhoff doing double duty as a lifeguard and as a detective? I don't know. Will there ever be a Baywatch Nights crossover? We will eventually find out. So, this is episode 3 of season 1, and the third episode in the series overall. It's called Silent Witness. And as usual, as I do with my other podcast, Velvet Owl Watches Movies So You Don't Have To, I try to go in knowing as little information as I can. So I don't know what the episode's going to be about. But Silent Witness, I am hoping it's about a mute. I hope that they have to protect a mute. Is that a politically correct term, by the way? Are we still allowed to say mute? Someone who can't speak. Or maybe it's a Buddhist monk that's taken a vow of silence, and they're the only witness to the crime. So, how are they going to tell what happened? Well, we shall find out. I shall find out, and I shall tell you, if I pay enough attention. So, on with Baywatch Nights. One thing I want to mention that I've noticed in the first 2 episodes, and again here, is that there's some random German credits. And I don't mean they're randomly crediting German people. Just, there's credits written in German. And I know, David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany, and as well as he should be, but it is just so weird and random that there's just, at the beginning of the episode, a random German phrase. I don't know if that's the title of the episode, not knowing German. I can't say for sure, because it seems like it's a different phrase at the beginning of each episode. But then even in the end credits, there's just random, directed by and associate producers and all that. And then, Ulrich said, I know so little German, I can't even make fake German words. So, but this one starts off with the hot fortune teller girl who is showing off some amazing cleavage. And, hey, don't blame me, because they pointed out too. David Hasselhoff, because he's all about the cleave. But, just, wow, just, bazow! Which, come on. That was what Baywatch regular is all about, is just cleavage in slow motion. So why wouldn't there be cleavage on display in Baywatch Nights? Just goes without saying. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this before in the last episode, but a lot of this show takes place during the day. I was expecting the majority of Baywatch Nights to take place at nighttime. But no, it's bright and sunny. Because I guess so that you can actually, see all the cleavage on display. Anyhow, the fortune teller girl, she's hiding underneath the pier because there's these bad guys that are after her and her bag, which she has hidden away on top of the pier, which I don't know what her plan there was, because then the bad guys, if they knew where the bag is, they could just go and get it. But luckily, David Hasselhoff and his partner, the man partner, I'm going to call him the man partner instead of the black partner, because it sounds less racist. Because, yeah, it doesn't matter that he's black. He's a man. That is what's important about his personality. And that pretty much is his personality. So at least, if he was a stereotypical black guy, then, yeah, calling him the black partner would make sense, because that's his only characteristic. But he doesn't even have that. He doesn't even have that characteristic. He's just a guy. Because, you can't have someone stealing the shine off of David Hasselhoff. So they go to get the bag, but then the bad guys are there. So they're chasing them. And suddenly there's all these chases on various, amusement park rides. So they're on, the teacup spinning ride. What are they called? Are they called the teacups? You sit in them and they just spin around and around and around. And then they get on the Ferris wheel. They're fighting on the Ferris wheel. And then the carousel. And the bad guys have the bag. And I just gotta say, all these rides are going off. Aren't there supposed to be people, watching these rides? Okay, it's during the day, so maybe, they haven't, started and the carnies aren't there working yet. But someone's gotta be watching on it, right? To make sure that, in this very case, people don't go and turn on the rides themselves. And it makes sense, okay, on the teacups, Fortune Girl accidentally, hit the lever. Which, that's dangerous. Shouldn't there be, precautions so you can't accidentally turn on a ride? And then the man partner, he turns on the Ferris wheel because, I don't know, it's his plan to get the bag away from the bad guys. Which leads to David Hasselhoff fighting and punching one of the bad guys on the Ferris wheel. And it's very, suspenseful, and you're like, oh no, are they gonna fall? And actually, it's not suspenseful at all, because, they're not gonna fall, and you don't really care. Although, it would have been awesome to see the bad guy fall. And then, but, we don't see who turns on the carousel. So was it the bad guys? This seems like a very weird plan, if it was the bad guys to be like, oh, I'll just stand on the carousel and turn it on, and then they won't be able to get me. But it's pretty cool, though, because then we get a Mexican standoff on the carousel. I can honestly say I have not seen any movie or show have a Mexican standoff on a carousel. And one of the bad guys has his gun pointed to the man partner, and the other bad guy has his gun pointed to the fortune teller, and David Hasselhoff has his gun pointed at the one who's pointed at the man partner, because he's more important. Granted, he's gonna have to choose one, because he only has one gun, because he can't do, the John Woo, double gun pointing, which would have been awesome. But, so, yeah, so they're in a Mexican standoff, and triggers are pulled, and we're not sure who pulled what trigger, and it fades to black, because we're going to commercial break, and oh no, who got shot? Did David Hasselhoff survive? I'm gonna guess yes. But how ballsy would the show be if just they killed off David Hasselhoff in episode 3? Of course, with him also having to appear on Baywatch proper, I guess they can't really kill him off, but they could injure him to the point where he's like, fuck this detective agency shit, I am only going to be a lifeguard. But no. David Hasselhoff, he is one of the greatest actors of our generation. Actually, maybe the generation before mine. But he is a great actor, so he's going to pull double duty, and he's going to continue doing both Baywatch and Baywatch Nights. We're back from commercial break. Theoretically, whoever's posting these on YouTube was nice enough to cut out the commercials. But, in case you were worried, David Hasselhoff is okay. The bullet just grazed him. A little bit of a flesh wound. He didn't have to go to the hospital. He's just at his office getting patched up by the female partner, Angie Harmon. I love her. Though she's very, very young here. I hope she's legal age. Not because of my own, perverted tendencies. Just, if she's working in a detective agency, I hope she's of legal age. But apparently the fortune teller's bag had been mixed up with some bad guy's drug bag or something, and it was all a big misunderstanding. I'm sure the bad guys are in prison now. We don't really find out what's going on with them, but apparently Angie Harmon inherited the deed to some fancy house, so, they're all excited about that. And David Hasselhoff goes off to jog on the beach while, close-ups of lots of women in bikini. Why can't we get some close-ups of the Baywatch lifeguards? You're on the same beach, right? I don't know. Did he move to a different beach? Has he given up the lifeguard thing? Because he's jogging in his sweats. Like, come on. Give us some more of that Baywatch babes. And so, where am I? Where am I in the story? Oh, yeah. So, then this teenage girl who looks about 30 has gotten a ride from a hitchhiker, but she's all, like, scared because she thinks he's putting the moves on him, so she's like, she thinks he's putting the moves on her, so she starts yelling, because, like, don't touch me. But he was just trying to be nice and open the door for her. And she's wearing cut-off shorts and fishnets and one of those country flannel shirts tied. So I'm not entirely sure what look she's going for, like part punk, part goth, part country girl. Luckily, I can just refer to her as the teenage runaway, because I don't want to keep calling her punk goth country girl. Although, punk goth country, that's... Someone should look into this. This is the new fashion styles, punk goth country. So, she's let off, and she's kind of by a cliff, and she's looking, and she sees this guy swimming, and she stares at him like, oh, hey, he's kind of hot. But then suddenly, he's killed by a guy in a scuba suit, who drowns him. Like, oh no! And scuba suit guy sees her, and starts chasing after her. But she manages to get away, but he yells at her, don't you tell anyone, or I'll kill you and your family! Which seems kind of like an empty threat, in my opinion, because... Well, first of all, if she's run away, she must not care about her family. Granted, I don't know for sure she's running away, just that, she had to hitchhike. And usually, hitchhikers are runaways. But B, he doesn't know who the fuck you are, so how is he gonna really go after your family? Like, he's gonna just go through the phone book and like, she seems like a Jane Doe. I couldn't think of a name. But, what is he gonna do? Like, flip through some pictures and like, oh, that's her! Find me the information. Okay, I know where her family is now. I will kill her. Which I granted, like, maybe, she's just scared, so she's not thinking straight. But yeah, he can't really threaten your family. He can't kill your family if he doesn't know who you are. And, run to the police right away and get... Well, granted, she probably can't get him arrested because she doesn't know who he is. And the police aren't going to be able to know. But, you can just run off. So I'm guessing... Well, obviously she's the witness, and I guess she's silent because she's not going to be telling anyone. I was really hoping that she just wouldn't be able to speak. Now, teenage runaway girl manages to make it to the beach, and David Hasselhoff sees her, and she's all woozy, and in his very bad, attempt at, the voiceover narration of a hard-boiled detective, he's like, 20 years of being a lifeguard has taught me to recognize when someone's in trouble. And I could tell she was drowning, even though she wasn't in the water. No, seriously, that's what he said. That's just, wow. Just a very Philip Marlowe-esque, right? Yeah. Just such great narration. And she falls down, but, he's like, everyone move out. It's okay, I'm a lifeguard. And, he checks that she's okay, and one of the girl Baywatch babe lifeguards, not Pamela Anderson, so I don't know if it's someone from the Baywatch regular show, because Pamela Anderson's really the only one I know, and Donna D'Errico, but that's because she posed for Playboy, and yeah, actually I think half the Baywatch girls posed for Playboy at some point. Anyhow, I don't know this Baywatch girl, but she comes to help David Hasselhoff, and everything's okay, but they look through her ID and see that she's 17. They're like, oh, she's probably a runaway. But we gotta be careful and take care of her. But unfortunately, teenage runaway girl looks into the crowd and she sees Scuba Guy there. And she's like, oh no, I'm beating out of it. I gotta run. And Scuba Guy, he wants to run after her, but he's like, I can't blow my cover. But David Hasselhoff, he's gonna run after her. He's gonna catch her, maybe. Because now we're back from commercial and it's nighttime. So I don't know if he caught her. Now there's a news story about the guy that was killed. But drowned. Because there's no evidence of foul play, right? Except Scuba Guy choked him. I'm pretty sure. So shouldn't there be at least some signs of, like, being choked or something? Or they're just like, he was in the water, he drowned. But he was a legendary music producer who was the founder of Laser Records. And he is survived by a widow. And she's watching this on TV. And she's watching it with the guys. Me trying to stumble across this, I've probably given it away. Yeah, Scuba Guy. She's with Scuba Guy, who was the producer's partner. But now, I was going to try to find some bad joke about him banging the guy's wife. But I can't think of one. But yeah. Scuba Guy wants to bang dead guy's wife. But she's mad because he let a witness get away. But he's like, I will find her. And I will kill her. And not in so many words, but, I'm sure that's the plan, is to kill her once he finds her. David Hasselhoff then goes over to the blues club, because, as he tells us, listening to white boy blues helps take his mind off things. I mean, he doesn't call it white boy blues, but come on, it's the white boy blues. Even when the black people are performing it, it's like later day B.B. King, to me, is white boy blues. Because it's not, like, it just doesn't feel like that authentic, like, these guys got the blues. It's more like, hey, playing the blues will make me some money. But, unfortunately, this does not work. David Hasselhoff, he still can't get his mind off of the teenage runaway girl and how he let her go. And if her parents show up, how is he going to explain? Like, yeah, I let her go. And now she's run away and missing again. And Angie Harmon, the voice of reason, says, well, they could just hire you to find her. But David Hasselhoff, like, I can't charge them, I let her go. And Angie Harmon starts to question, like, what are you more dedicated to? Being a private eye or being a lifeguard? And he can't decide. He wants to be both. Because he's David Hasselhoff, and, why should he have to choose? He could have it all. Just like how you could have family and career, you could have lifeguard and private eye careers. Lots of people have to work 2 jobs. And so David Hasselhoff, he doesn't have to work 2 jobs, but he wants to. And then Lou Rawls, who, if you remember, I mentioned in the first episode, he's in the credits. Finally, episode 3, we see him. And he contributes like nothing. He's just there talking about how stylish David Hasselhoff and his partners are. And then he just kind of walks off. But, dun dun dun, someone else in the club. Scuba Guy. And yes, I will continue to refer to him as Scuba Guy, even though he's no longer wearing the scuba. But fuck it. The name's there. It's stuck. I am not going to bother thinking up of the new name for him. But what's his angle? What's he looking at? Does he recognize David Hasselhoff from the beach and know that he has to kill David Hasselhoff as well? Don't do it, Scuba Guy. Don't do it. Now, David Hasselhoff goes back to the beach, and he's there to watch the girls in bikinis play volleyball, as one likes to do. Lord knows if I lived near the beach, that's probably where I would spend most of my days, is watching girls play volleyball. Women, not girls. Watching the women in bikinis playing volleyball. They gotta make sure they're legal age. You go up to them and say, like, are you over 18? Yes. And then you go back to, like, your little hiding spot and creepily watch them. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. What song is that? I will not be haunted by that because I'm moving on. So his partner, the man partner, comes in. He's like, you hear about that guy that drowned? It was all over the news. And they start talking about it. Like, it's kind of weird. Because the guy was a really good swimmer. And the riptides weren't, like, bad or anything. There was no reason that guy should have drowned. That is weird. We'll look into it. Meanwhile, they're back at the detective agency, and who shows up but teenage runaway girl's mother, and she wants to hire them to look for the daughter, which, is the quandary. Is David Hasselhoff going to charge her? No, because she pretty much is off the bat saying, like, how could you let her go? Because she knows, I guess, the story that, they found the teenage runaway daughter, and then she just ran away, because David Hasselhoff just could not catch her in time. How could you do it, David Hasselhoff? But mom's going to hire them, and she has a postcard that her daughter had received from someone named Mango. David Hasselhoff's like, I'm on it. I will find a surfer named Mango. And now we come to nighttime, and David Hasselhoff is telling his partner, am I going to have to keep saying man partner? Because I'm going straight up, Angie Harmon is Angie Harmon. So just know, when I mention the partner, it's the guy whose name I don't know. And they're talking, and the partner is like, oh, I looked into it, but the coroner, they're saying it was a natural drowning. And David Hasselhoff's like, keep on it. I still don't trust it. And while he hasn't found the girl yet, he has found where Mango likes to surf. So they'll be on it. Probably, like, during the day, David Hasselhoff will go there, because Mango probably doesn't surf at night. Even though a guy named Mango, you would think, yeah, that guy's gonna surf at night, because he doesn't play by the rules. He's fucking Mango. Now, teenage runaway girl, she finds a payphone, and she calls Mango, because she's got his number. And it's like, can I come over? And I'm guessing he says yes. But police is driving by, so she hightails it out of there. And, fuck, I knew I should have, like, stopped earlier and retrained my thoughts, because now I forget what happened. I will be back in just a second while I just kind of breeze through and fast forward. Okay, so Angie Harmon and Hasselhoff's partner have gotten together just kind of in the middle of nowhere at night, just to talk about the times they ran away and how they like to eat bananas. I wish that was a joke on my part, but no. Yeah, they just spent like a few minutes just talking about how to eat bananas. And I'm not really sure. There seems to be, like, definitely in this episode more so than the other two so far, just a lot of, like, pointless scenes that just kind of don't move the plot forward. They just kind of are there to eat up time. Because I don't think they even talked about, like, the case other than just runaways, but no sort of, like, hey, what are we going to do for this case? But then it's the next day, and Angie Harmon, who, remember, she got a deed to property, is there, and David Hasselhoff, in his faded Adidas jacket, which I'm glad is not a one-time thing. He is going to, I think, try to get that in once every episode. Because, if Adidas is shelling out the big bucks, he's going to wear that jacket. And he shows up. But her big property was a trailer. Wah, wah. And David Hasselhoff talks to her and says, like, oh, can you look on the forensics and things? Because I still don't think this guy just drowned out of nowhere. So she's like, yeah, I'll look into it. And then it's nighttime again, which we're just cutting back and forth between, like, the day and nights. Just kind of, I guess, because nothing really happens more than, I don't know. What is he doing for most of the day? Like, in between these big, like, time jumps, is he not doing anything? Because in his voiceover narration, he tells us, like, he's going to go find out more about Mango. And he's going to do that by going to the White Boy Blues Club. And this time it is a white boy playing the blues. And that's it. we just get kind of like way too long of this white boy playing blues, which I could kind of forgive if David Hasselhoff went and like talked to anyone at the club and asked about Mango. We don't see any of that. We don't even see David Hasselhoff at the club. It's just this fucking white boy playing the blues, and then suddenly, while he's still playing and singing, and we're subjected to this awful white boy blues, David Hasselhoff is just driving throughout the night and looking at people, and I'm not sure what he's really doing to search, but then he goes to the funeral wake for the dead drowning guy. Oh yeah, he mentioned that when he was talking to Angie Harmon. I'm not sure how he got an invite. I guess it pays to know people. So when you're David Hasselhoff, do you really need an invite to go crash a funeral? Well, it's not a funeral. It's the wake. It's a party. I think he did get invited. So he's there. And Scuba Guy's there. And Scuba Guy just walks past him. So Hoff talks to the widow. And he's like, just some weird things. Like, some of the injuries, it just seems like it wouldn't have happened from drowning. And she's like, oh, well, those injuries, yeah. He incurred them from, hitting himself on the treadmill. Like, oh, okay. He doesn't quite trust her. And the widow and Scuba Guy are like, he's getting close. You better find that teenage runaway girl. Make sure she doesn't speak. And he's like, don't worry. I've got someone on it. And so, Hasselhoff, he goes to the beach and he finds Mango. And he's like, asking questions. And Mango's like, I don't really know this girl. Like, she just bugs the fuck out of me. And she just stopped by and was trying to get to Mexico on this fishing boat. And I gave her some money to just get her to leave me the fuck alone. And, that's a lead. We know it's a fishing boat. And he knows the name. So they tell runaway girl's mother, like, don't worry, we're going to find her. We know she's on this fishing boat. That's called so-and-so. And she's like, oh, thank you. Then, oddly, in walks into the detective agency a woman claiming to be the mother of this, of the teenage runaway girl. Like, whoa, wait a minute. How odd. We just talked to her mother. Me thinks that this other quote-unquote mother is part of the evil clan looking to kill the teenage runaway girl. I've already forgotten who they are. Oh yeah, the widow and Scuba Guy. I'm sure they hired her to pretend to be the mother so that they can hire the detective agency to find the girl. That is actually a brilliant plan. Kudos, Mr. Scuba Guy. Hasselhoff finds the fishing boat, and teenage runaway's like, okay, I give up. You're trying to help me. Help me. And, she's telling him that she had to run away because her mother's boyfriend beats her. Good reason to run away, because remember, this is still like the mid-90s, so no one's going to believe her, especially mom's going to be like, no, you don't say that about my boyfriend, or else he'll smack me around too. But it's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. So, where were we? So she asks, like, oh, well, Mr. Hasselhoff, how did you find me? Like, oh, well, your mom gave us this postcard from Mango. And she's like, wait, that's weird. My mom wouldn't have the postcard because it was in my backpack, which I dropped when... And she's reluctant to say it, but she tells him, like, I saw a man killed. And Hasselhoff's like, that's weird. Oh, and then, here's your mother. She showed up, like, but that's not my mother. And it's not. It's who Hasselhoff thinks was her mother, but she's there with Scuba Guy, and they're gonna go kill her. But thankfully, David Hasselhoff's there to kick the guy in the face. And there's a lot of chasing, and Hasselhoff throws the guy into the water. He's like, "Wah!" Because he's the Hoff. But the fake mom is there, and she's chasing after a teenage runaway girl, and she's got a gun. And I'm not really sure why she doesn't just, like, fucking shoot the girl. Like, at least try. Like, what? You're in broad daylight chasing after someone with a gun. what worse is going to happen if you actually manage to kill her? You're probably going to jail anyhow. But luckily, Hoff's partner and Angie Harmon pull up in a car with the teenage runaway girl's real mother, and Angie Harmon opens up the door while they're driving, which is enough to knock out the fake mom. And they save the day. Woohoo! And by the way, like, the license plate on the car says Shaft 7. Or maybe 2. Shaft and then a number. I couldn't quite get a good look, and I'm not going to bother rewinding to find out what the number was. Just, because he's black. So he's Shaft. Well, no. Lou Rawls earlier did say he looks like Shaft, so... So did he get the personalized license plate after Lou Rawls told him that? Like, you know what? Yeah, I am like Shaft. I am going to go get a vanity license plate. I don't know if it was worth it, mister. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll just start calling you Shaft 7 for the rest of this podcast. Every episode, you're Shaft 7 until I forget what that was from. So now the epilogue, in case you couldn't really figure out, the whole basis of what happened. They're at the nightclub, and David Hasselhoff is telling his partner, like, the dead guy, he caught his wife and his business partner in bed, so, he was gonna dissolve the partnerships, but they killed him. But everything's good now, and teenage runaway girl, she's going back home, and I think she'll be okay. I guess we're just gonna ignore the fact that mom's boyfriend beats her. Like, at least, like, aren't we gonna have, like, a talk with mom? Like, maybe you should watch her boyfriend and not let him beat your daughter. What kind of epilogue is this? We don't find that out? I want to know. Are they gonna, like, reconcile at least to be like, hey, you either tell your boyfriend stop or, you break up with him. I want to know what happened. But anyways, and Angie Harmon's over in her trailer, and she's like, well, this sucks, but it's better than nothing. And then the wheel falls off, and the trailer, like, just kind of collapses. Oh, well. That's all I have to say is, oh, well. That's episode 3 down. 41 episodes to go. Just... Maybe, like, I'll stop watching it and just read, like, the recaps online. That would probably... There's an idea for a podcast. It's just me reading Wikipedia recaps. Yeah. It'll probably be less painful than me watching these shows. But, yeah. velvetale@hotmail.com. If there's anything you want to tell me to help give meaning to my life. Because I think when you reach the point of you deciding to watch the entire series of Baywatch Nights, your life has lost all meaning. But if you listen this far, I love you. Come back next time and I'll watch episode 4. You could always watch along with me if you want to torture yourself. But I love you. I love you. Peace.